Have you ever thought about using an app, a read aloud function, to help you learn your language? Well, as much as AI generated language isn't perfect, the accents are getting much better, and you can use this function to help you. One of the best ways to learn how to speak a language correctly is to listen to it and copy what you hear. There are many ways to do this, shadowing being one of them. But sometimes it can be difficult to hear things properly if you're listening to people as they truly speak. What if you could start off with something a little simpler? This is where AI may be able to help you. We're going to use Microsoft Word here, but there are plenty of other apps and services you could use. For example, on a Kindle Fire, you can get it to read a book out to you, or other text if you know how to upload it. So let's say you've copied some text into your app and you want to learn how to say it correctly. I'm using something of my own here, but if you're just using it for yourself, you could copy the text of an article, for example. So in Microsoft Word, this function is under the Review tab, Read Aloud. But first, what we're going to do is to highlight our text and ensure it's set to the language you want to use. It is supposed to detect the language, but it's better just to make sure. As with most of these things, you can choose some of the settings. Those are here in Microsoft Word. So you can see that you can choose the speed and a voice. The speed, you just move the marker up and down, and the voice is male and female, depending on what you've selected in the Microsoft settings. You also have a start, a next, and a previous. We'll talk about those in a minute. So simply put the cursor at the beginning of the text and press play.
Mettersi
Mettersi in moto è la parte più difficile. Parliamo della melma.
Chi ha deciso
Chi ha
che
deciso che questo era il modo più efficiente di fare una passeggiata? Efficiente.
Ecco.
And obviously the other advantage of doing it this way is you actually have the text in front of you, so you know what you're going to be saying. Okay, so that's the basics. That's how you can actually follow along. But you may want to focus on a particular sentence. If you want to do that, you can just highlight it and press the play.
Mettersi in moto è la parte più difficile.
And then it will stop at the end. Obviously, if you want to do that again, you have to highlight it again. But there is another way to do that. And that's using these next and previous buttons. Now, these buttons take you forwards and backwards a paragraph. So when you're doing a single sentence, if you have it in a paragraph, you can just keep pressing the backwards and it'll go back to the beginning. So like this.
Mettersi in
Mettersi in moto è la
più
parte più
difficile.
difficile.
Mettersi in moto è la parte più difficile. Mettersi in moto è la parte più difficile.
Okay. So let's say we wanted to go to the next paragraph.
Parliamo della melma. È così lento. Inoltre, quanto più.
So the forwards will take you forwards to all the paragraphs, but the backwards will only take you back to the beginning of the one you're in.
È così lento. È così lento.
So that's one thing to bear in mind. So one thing I've found with this in Italian is that sometimes it gets the stress wrong if it's got pronouns attached to a verb. So that's one thing to look out for. And there may be little quirks like that in your language. Also, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get started. I don't know whether that's to do with the internet connection or how many other apps you have open, or whether it's just how it happens. But you may have to sit there kind of like you're on the starting blocks waiting for it to happen. Obviously, as you get better, you can speed it up. But once you actually get used to the sounds, you should probably go back to listening to people actually speaking the language. Because there's not a lot of expression in these voices. Obviously, that may get better over time. But you don't want to end up sounding like an AI, do you?